Welcome, welcome to D Holloway's Midlife Takeover, where it's never too late to get your money straight. One of the industries that I absolutely despise is the insurance industry. It's because they sell fear to people all day long, they take your money, and then they try to avoid doing anything for you. Now, for most of us, having insurance is just a fact of life because we don't have millions of dollars sitting around to self insure. So, as a result, we have to buy insurance to mitigate those risks. So, there is something that you can do about this, and you don't have to be loyal. You should always be reevaluating your insurance coverage, your insurance provider, so that you can go out into the marketplace, find the best possible coverage for the lowest possible price with a reputable company. And that's exactly what I did. And in 3 simple steps, I was able to save $6,000 a year. So one of the first areas that I decided to attack was my car insurance because I was paying $400 a month for car insurance to cover 3 vehicles. That was my car, my wife's car, and my wife had a second car that she had paid off from years ago, but still had it. It was in good shape, and she let my son drive it because he had tore up his car, and the one before that, and the one before that. But that's a different story. Anyway, so paying this $400 a month, and I had actually 2 of my young adult children still on the policy, right? And I decided that, hey, it's that time. I'm kicking you both off because my insurance costs are too high. So make my son get off the insurance and get his own insurance because of the accidents and things that he was having. And then my daughter, who had just graduated college, I had bought her a car, for her graduation gift. But it was under one condition that you get a job as you're going to graduate school and you also pay for your car insurance, and I don't have to deal with that anymore. So it's all on you. I was able to reduce my insurance costs from $400 a month to $200 a month. So that's basically a $2,400 a year savings just on car insurance by booting my kids off my car insurance. So the next area of insurance that I decided to attack was my primary home insurance because it was getting out of hand. So what I did was I went to one of the other, big box insurance companies out there, and I got a quote from them. And what I noticed about the quote was is that it had 3 options on it. So there was your regular, just I guess what they consider full coverage, and then there was this modified coverage that kind of stepped down the coverages a little bit, and it was at some drastically reduced prices. So that led me to go and look at my policy just to see, hey, what exactly are my coverages? Because I'll be honest with you, when you get the insurance, you kind of glance at that stuff, but you don't commit it to memory, and you just go about your business. So what I noticed was is that in my primary home insurance policy, I had some coverages that were extremely high. In the proposal that I was given by this other company, they had these options where you could reduce your coverage for a dwelling, your coverage for personal property, your coverage for other structures, and living expenses in case you had a claim where you couldn't be able to stay into your house, right? So I looked at my policy and I just compared the numbers to like what my actual situation would be. And I just felt like the coverages were super high. For example, my personal property coverage was at about $350,000. And I'm thinking to myself, if you take the cars, everything in our house, you are not going to come up with a $350,000 price tag to replace that stuff. I mean, you literally could replace everything that I have as personal property for half of that amount. And here I am carrying this coverage and paying a lot more for it, and I really didn't need it. So I was able to reduce that coverage and get a discount on it. So that's what I did. Now, the next thing I looked at was my the living assistance coverage, and that number was, I believe, somewhere in the $250,000 range, and that's coverage for if you had a claim, let's say my house burned down or whatever the case may be, and we were not able to occupy the house and we had to live somewhere else for a while until the house was either restored or we had a new house built or whatever. So to me, in the area that I live, it's just not reasonable to me to have that amount of coverage for 24 months of being out of my home because by that time meant I could have a house built or I could just go buy another house. And So I reduced that coverage to something that, fit my risk level, my risk profile, and again, was able to save some money on that. So the other piece of coverage that I looked at was the other structures. And I don't have a pool or anything like that in my backyard. All I have is a $5,000 tough shed that I bought years ago and had it installed in the backyard. And obviously, you have your fence. But other than that, there's nothing else on the property. So I looked at the coverage and just thought, hey, man, I don't need $100,000 of coverage. I mean, I can reduce that coverage to something, again, that fits my risk profile and for what I think it would take to, replace the shed, replace the fence, or whatever else it is. And I reduced that coverage, was able to save money. Now, I did not touch the dwelling coverage because I felt like that was appropriate. From all of the changes that I made to the insurance policy, I was able to get the cost down from $6,200 a year to $3,900 a year for savings of $2,300 a year. So the third area that I decided to attack to reduce my insurance costs was my rental property. And I owned a duplex that when I purchased it, each one of the units were considered their own single family residence. So they had, their own different taxes and so forth. So I ended up getting an insurance policy separate for each one. And at the time, those insurance policies were like $1,000 each for each side, right? So for a total of $2,000. And over the years, the cost increased and it went up to $2,000 for each policy. So now I'm paying $4,000 a year for insurance. And I was like, that's crazy. That's just too much. So I reached out to my primary home insurance provider because they were also my automobile insurance provider to get a quote for this duplex because obviously I thought I could get a good price as well as a bundle discount. So the first thing that they told me was, we can get rid of having two policies and just make this one policy that covers both units because, they have a common roof, they have some common walls and common driveway and all this other stuff, right? So they were like, you'll get the coverage that covers both units and you'll have it in one policy and we can reduce those costs for you because you're essentially paying double for everything on each unit. So I said, cool. So they wrote me up a quote and they came back with the quote and it was $2,300 for both units. So I was able to take my duplex property insurance, the landlord policy, from $4,000 to $2,300, saving a whopping $1,700 a year. Because I was having so much fun saving money on insurance costs, I decided to look for some other things that I could cut and save money. And the one thing that I noticed was had a home warranty and it was absolutely useless. These people don't want to pay for anything when you call them. So I gave them the axe. So getting rid of that saved me $600 a year. My advice to all of you is go look at your coverages and then go shop your insurance because you can save thousands of dollars a year. Because a lot of the times we buy these policies and we just set them up on auto payment. And over the years, the policy premiums keep increasing and we just don't even think about it. But again, you can save thousands of dollars just like I did. If you have some other ideas about how to save money in your household, I would love to hear them. But in the meantime, what I need you to do is take care and be safe out here in these social media streets.